Hello everyone again, and welcome to the Kazakhstan American Corners program. My name is Selfia. I'm the coordinator of American Corner Karganda. I'm the host of this meeting. So thank you everyone for joining us for the second workshop. So we are happy to start a new session of the 7-week workshops dedicated to the American university culture with our English language fellow, Caroline Ideus. Caroline, can you say hi to everyone?
Hi, everyone.
Okay, thank you. And so today we will learn about class expectations. And okay, so before we start and before I give the floor to Caroline, I would like to talk about some housekeeping rules. So this session is recording, and we also disabled your mics. But when Caroline is presenting the presentation, you may use the chat box to ask your questions. And after this, we will have some discussion and session for Q&A. Okay, and I guess that's it from me. Now I give the floor to Caroline.
Okay. And hi, everyone. Good evening. I hope you're having a good week and the weather is becoming more spring-like for you. And here I live in Tennessee, and it's been a little chilly the past few days, but we'll be back to spring weather today or tomorrow. So I'm going to share my screen. My name is Caroline Ideus, and I'm with the U.S. Department of State. I am the English Language Fellow for this year, and I live in Martin, Tennessee. And as you can see, it is located right there where it's red, and I live kind of where the T is. But I grew up in Nebraska in the middle. And I went to university in Nebraska, my undergraduate degree. And I also studied abroad for 1 semester in Estonia. And then I completed my master's degree in the UK. So I have a lot of experience of different types of education systems. And so that is one of the reasons why I chose this series, because there is a big difference. And also I have taught abroad in Japan for 5 years, and I've worked with international students here in the US for about 6. So this week we're going to talk about class expectations. And even if you have no interest in studying in the US, but are just interested in the education system, that's great. And I'm glad you're here, because that's what we're going to talk about. So today I'll talk a little bit about the class sizes and what to do during class and the expectations that professors have, student expectations, degree requirements, and then we're going to look at a syllabus. And then about the last 15 minutes or so, you will have an opportunity to talk with each other in breakout rooms through a discussion. So, class sizes here in the US, probably just like in Kazakhstan, it depends on the university you attend, but also how far you are in your degree program. So classes range from 30 to 300 students. And of course, your first year university students have larger class sizes because of general education requirements. And as you move up in your degree, your classes get more specific and the sizes get smaller. So generally speaking, you can have classrooms that look like this on the right, or classrooms that are more bigger, the auditorium style on the right, and then the smaller classrooms on the left. And if you have any questions at any time, you can always type it in the chat box. So during the class, it's might be a little different than maybe what you're used to back at home in Kazakhstan, but the American professors try to do more learning-centered teaching, but of course this depends on your area of study. But there are different types of techniques. Of course, there are lectures, but also during the lectures, there could be group discussions, readings. So students are required to read and prepare for class. Projects, group projects are very popular. In-class assignments, and then homework, and of course, tests and quizzes and so on. So it definitely depends on your type of classes you take. But also during class, the professors expect engagement. So engage with the professor and other classmates. So take notes is a popular thing of engagement, but also the professor may ask, discuss with your partner, the person next to you, for 2 minutes about the reading. Okay, and then you talk with the person next to you for 2 minutes. And independent thinking is encouraged. So it's okay to disagree with the professor. You don't have to agree with everything they say. And although they have a PhD, sometimes they still don't know everything. Okay, and so it's always good. It's okay to disagree. And academic freedom. This is a very talked about topic right now, is called academic freedom. So that means universities and professors and students have the freedom to express their own opinions and thoughts. So it's the freedom of expression, and research what you want and say what you want. That's academic freedom. So it's your thoughts, it's your choice to pursue different research and types of academic integrity. So student expectations, and I have worked with students, well, I did my master's in the UK, and I've worked with international students from everywhere. And this can be really a difficult adjustment for students, and they come to the US, is what is expected of them. So in the US, preparing outside of class is very important because sometimes professors give pop quizzes, which is, a quiz. When you get into class that day, they might say, oh, let's have a 5-point quiz about our reading. And so some professors do that. And also, do not be afraid to talk to your professor. So the professors in the US have what's called office hours, and they have to be in their office. And that's a time when the students can visit their office and ask them questions about the materials, or email them, or whatever is best for you. And also, that's the way to get to know your professor personally. And I really recommend this for various reasons. Of course, you can ask them questions about the assignment and the classes, and they can explain to you in more detail. But also, it's good to know your professor on a professional level, on a personal and professional level. They might be able to give you advice on internships, or activities to further your degree and career. And also in the future, you could use them for recommendations. So it's just really good to establish this professional relationship, because in the future, you never know. You might, it might be a long-lasting professional relationship. However, do not wait to the last week of class to talk to them, because they're not going to have time. So start asking questions at the beginning, and then that way they put a face with the name. And I really recommend, especially for international students, because of course the language issue, the language barrier. And if you do get to know your professor, they might be able to help you a little more with the language. So after class, you can ask them and they might help clarify different topics, send you the slides, just send you notes and so on. So I really recommend that. And they're humans, so they like working with students, otherwise they would not be a professor. And in a little bit, we're going to review syllabus, but the syllabus in American universities are very important because they have the deadlines, the types of assignments, and point values. So how did I get a degree in the US? So when you sign up for classes, for example, if you sign up for 3 credits is 1 class. So if you have an English, let's say you're taking English 101, which is a basic introduction to academic writing. So that's 1 class, 3 credit hours. So that means every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for 1 hour, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you have class. But the rule is for every 1 hour in the class, that's 2 hours of homework and preparation. And then the semester is about 15 weeks. And so that equals 1 credit. So for example, for 4-year graduation, if you want to graduate in 4 years, you need 15 credits per semester and about 120 to 140 credits to graduate. That depends on your degree and university. And so 15 credits per semester is about 45 hours of work per week. So that's a full-time job. So, and of course, some classes require more work, some classes require less work, but this is the rule of thumb. These are the guidelines. We tell students to keep this time frame in mind. A lot of students get part-time jobs and have other obligations, so it's important to keep this time frame in mind, because time management is the thing that is the most difficult for students. And that's probably the #1 reason why they don't do well in classes is time management. So not managing the assignments and missing deadlines and so on. So for example, in the US, so it takes 4 years to get a bachelor's degree. In the UK, it takes 3. And there's a big reason why there's a difference. In the US, students are required to take general education requirements. It doesn't matter if your major is business. You still have to take these type of classes that are listed here. And I know from my experience in the UK, if you're a business major, your first year, you take business classes, and that's it. But the US has these general education requirements that require more just well-rounded. So you learn a little bit about different areas of, just of academics. This also is beneficial if you change your major. So let's say you start university in business, and then a year and a half in, students are like, I don't really like this. I want to change my major to agriculture. It's very possible, and it's not going to change it's not going to make them delay their degree. They might have to take an extra class or 2, but at that point. It's a lot easier to change your field of study and major. And it's very common. Most people change their major 2 or 3 times in university. So this is what's a really positive thing about the general education courses and the US system. I know in the UK, if you change your major, you have to start from 0. Nothing transfers, and it's different in the US. So these are the types of classes. And again, general education, more well-rounded. So that's one component. There are 2 other components to a degree, is what's called free electives. So if you are a business major, there is a group of classes that you can choose from that apply to the business degree. So different colleges or departments offer a wide range of classes that can be applied towards the degree. So if you're business, maybe there's world economies class. Well, you could take that if you want. Okay, there are many options, but that still count towards your degree. And then the final one are the major requirements. And these are what's called upper level courses. So your last year or 2 of study. And these, you usually don't have a choice. So you need to take these classes to graduate with a business degree. No choice. You must take those. So those are the required courses. So those are the 3 levels that make up a bachelor's degree in the US. And I'm just talking about bachelor's degree. Master's degrees and PhDs are completely different. So I'm talking about bachelor's degrees. So I have this short video about success in the US classroom.
I think probably the biggest challenge that most international students have in the US classroom is that students are expected to participate, to raise their hands, to ask questions, to voice their opinions.
In the US, everyone has a say. It's definitely a more interactive experience than what most international students are used to.
It's important to prepare before class, reading about the material beforehand, so I have something to contribute to the discussion.
Professors will oftentimes notice students that are quiet but attentive, and you can demonstrate your attentiveness by paying attention to what's being said, by taking notes. I think taking notes in English is really important in an American academic culture.
Oops, sorry.
So that you get in the practice of thinking in English and writing in English.
They should just kind of process in English. At first it's hard to adjust, but later on they'll be fine.
Most of my professors will put up whatever slides they're showing online, and so I can always go back and take a look at them there.
Professors expect students to put forward their own original ideas in class.
The idea that you are thinking for yourself, that you're asking your own questions, is really highly valued in American academic culture.
If you have a question, if you didn't understand something that a professor said, raise your hand, speak your mind. Guaranteed, a certain number of other students will have the same question.
Practice English, you have courage, you have confidence, then you're comfortable enough to ask in class.
One of the things we really emphasize is teamwork. You work on projects together, it's essential.
Initially, I had a bit of a problem with group projects because my English wasn't very good, but it turns out that if you get to know your group mates, group projects can actually be very fun.
When students are having trouble, it's really important, I think, for them to seek out their professors, to engage with them in dialogue during their office times.
And that's also beneficial because your professor can give you advice on so many things that are outside the scope of the class material itself.
The ERC stands for Educational Resource Center, and as the name implies, it is a center where you can find help for any educational or academic needs that you might have. you should seek help from the ERC and from any other resource as soon as you think you have a problem.
You learn more than just the material when you're in the classroom, so it's really important to attend class.
Success in the American classroom is something that depends on a lot of things. It doesn't just depend on a final exam. You have to communicate with the professor. You need to be organized, be prepared, study hard, do the work that they tell you, and you'll succeed.
So that was, although it says from Boston University, I think the information can be applied to everything, all universities. And as they said at the end of the video, there is most universities have some kind of resource center, just different name. This could be called student success, resource, different names, but they do the same thing, is to help students. Their certain classes, especially sciences and math, have like tutor sessions and extra study groups, and those are all free, included in your tuition prices. So definitely seek those if you, sorry. Okay, so syllabus. So I'm going to post, these are some links to some general education courses of syllabi that I found. And we're going to look at one of them. Let's see if I can find the chat box. Oh, here we go. So in the chat box, I posted some syllabus that are used. These are just one of many examples, but I would like us to specifically look at this one. And a syllabus tells the student what to expect in the class. So for example, this is English 101. It has the dates, the professor, their contact information, etc. It explains the class and objectives and so on. And we're not going to read all that, but it tells you what you need in class. But I would like to really bring our attention to student evaluation. Okay, so these are the point values. So every syllabus should have this. You should know at the beginning of the semester what's expected. So for example, attendance and participation is 10% of your grade. So if you don't go to class, well, you're not gonna do well. But you can see in the essay, so essay 1, 2, 3, 4, different percent values. Writing assignments and journals. So that's 20% of your final grade. Free writes and quizzes and grammar units, only 10%. So if you're trying to decide how to use your time, look at these point values, and that will help you determine how to organize your time. Because I think for me, I know I've been there. I stress over an assignment and then I look at the syllabus and I see it's only worth 5%. So I'm like, well, it's not that big of a deal. So then I don't stress as much. So this is an example of a syllabus, and they're all slightly different, but have the same ideas. Again, introduction tells you about the course, the percentages of grades, and every professor formats it differently. Some formats I like, some I don't. This one is not as easy to understand for me. I prefer when the professor makes this list. It's easy to understand. And then this one, this is a history course. And also similar attendance. They even tell you what's covered, so you know what to prepare for in that class that week. And so on. So again, the values, the point values. And just so I don't forget, we do have a course Padlet, and I'm going to also post this in the chat box. And here I have the different resources available, and you can always comment. But this is what the Padlet looks like. In a second, once it loads. And resources from last week and this week. Okay, so I included in the chat the Padlet resources. Okay, so we have about, before we go to Q&A, now we're going to go into breakout rooms, and our discussion questions are these. So what are some differences, just from what you've learned, or maybe some of you have studied abroad, or I'm not sure, between universities in Kazakhstan and the US? That's question 1. So discuss in your groups. And then review the following syllabus. What do you think about it? How does it compare to syllabus in Kazakhstan? And I will copy and paste these questions in the chat box. And then what is something you want to learn more information about? So that's when you can ask me some questions at the end. And of course, you can discuss other things as well. All right, so just before we bring it up to question and answer, here is our Padlet, and I'll put this in the chat box again. So that you can review these resources. And I update this every week. If you have questions, you can comment on it. You can add resources as well. Okay, so any questions about the session this week for me?
Okay, let me allow them to use their mics. Yes. December, Caroline Ideus.
Hi, Caroline. No, everything was good and clear as always. We discussed issues about the difference between Kazakhstan and the US. So what we found out that some issues with plagiarism in Kazakhstan is very common, like kind of culturally, a lot of students don't think it's a big deal, whereas in the USA it's a big deal. It's kind of a crime.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that's next week's topic.
yeah, basically. So I mean, we were talking, but what do we talk about? Like at the university in Kazakhstan, we still have like some issues when you cannot challenge or like argue with your professors because you have to respect their age, they're older, and probably they know more than you. So this is basically what we encountered or experienced like during when I was doing my bachelor's degree in Kazakhstan. But when I went to the UK, it was of course different. Like I had to participate, and also in the UK, it's also like very classical. It's not like in the US, but
yes.
I'm saying that there were some differences. But like the UK, it's also kind of like it has like kind of classic style where you also have some kind of but still it's different from Kazakhstan. So basically, we said like kind of you cannot like only challenge or argue with your professor in Kazakhstan. Kind of, it's our mentality, it's our culture when you respect people who are older than you. So this is probably a little bit different.
Yeah, you bring up some good points about the cultural. The culture is culture, so it's hard to change that. Good, thanks. Good comment, Baglan. Other comments or questions?
Oh, Samber raised the hand.
Okay, hello everyone. So I want to do my MBA in the USA, maybe next year spring semester. So I'd like to ask a question. So, if it in terms of the MBAs, so how many courses were you allowed to take each semester?
Again, that depends on the university and their requirements. For a graduate program, it's a full-time load is generally 9 credit hours because the classes are more intense and you need to do more preparation. So that would be 3 classes a semester. And generally speaking, it takes about 2 years to do an MBA. But some programs are 18 months. So it depends on the program.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great. Other questions or comments?
I saw some questions in the chat box when you presented the presentation.
May I ask something?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Are there any universities or programs that do not require SAT examination?
Okay, so did you ask, are there programs that do not require ACT, SAT?
Yes.
Yeah, so right now with COVID, everything has sort of changed. So there are programs, and because students were not able to do the testing with COVID and so forth, it's all changed. So yes, there are programs. I don't know which programs, but there are programs. They also look into your transcripts and other areas. So, but I don't know for international students. It might be a different qualification for international students as well. But that is a topic that is being discussed right now in universities, is the importance of these SAT and ACT tests. Are they needed? We don't know. So.
Okay, Nurila.
Hello.
Yes.
I want to ask the question, which is not maybe appropriate to this same. For example, I'm a teacher, and at the same time, I'm studying. I'm doing my PhD degree now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know any other programs concerning teachers, English teachers, except Fulbright?
Oh. Like exchanges or?
Yes, like exchanges or working programs. It doesn't matter for like particular time. It doesn't matter.
I would have to get back to you about that. There are programs. It just depends on where you want to go and so on.
You mean that they depend on the states?
Do you want to go to the US or do you want to go to other places in the world?
I think that it would be better if it's like English speaking country.
Yeah. So so you want to teach at a you want to teach at a university here? Is that your?
Actually, my study goes to university and therefore school, both of them.
It depends. Like the Fulbright is the most direct one. There might be like in universities might have individuals exchanges and so forth, but I don't really know the answer to your question. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Shinar.
Hello,
Oh,
everybody.
hey, how's it going? How are you?
I'm good. We'll take
Yeah, good to
Shinar
see you.
first. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm from China, and I've been living in Kazakhstan for totally 4 years, and
Mhm.
I have so many Mormon friends from the Salt Lake City in Utah,
Mhm.
and they told me that I can find better opportunities in BYU. It's
Mhm.
called Birmingham Young University.
Mhm.
So my question is, do you know which university? I mean, in United States, like BYU, you know?
What do I know that university? What's your question?
Yes.
I don't know anything. I know that it exists and I know that it's in Idaho, I think, and there's one in Utah, but I don't know much other information about it.
Okay, roger that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Shinar.
Hello. I'm from Kazakhstan, Almaty, and I have a bachelor degree foreign languages, 2 languages, and a master degree of international relations. And I'm interested in PhD. Can you tell me if I have any opportunities to apply for PhD foreign languages, 2 languages, if it is possible?
It's possible. Anyone can apply, but as far as funding, look into graduate assistantships. That might be when you're looking at different universities for PhDs. And that's a type of scheme by the university that pays graduate students maybe for teaching or research. So some universities, especially in the PhD level, do have graduate assistantships available. So I would recommend looking into that when you're looking into PhD programs. And PhD programs are very specific. So I don't know anything about PhD programs, but I know they're very specific. And so it's important to look to see what funding is available. And they're a little bit more generous with their funding for international students compared to bachelor's degrees. So that's my advice.
Thank you.
Okay, so time is almost up. We have 3 minutes left. So thank you everyone for asking questions. And thank you, Caroline, for your time. Amazing presentation.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'm sorry, we don't really have enough time for more questions because 2 minutes left. And so before we finish, I would like just to remind you about the rules for attending our sessions. Just a quick reminder, so to receive the certificates, you need to attend 6 sessions. And we will have like sessions every Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. like today. And also I had already sent the Google form, and it's like some kind of quick survey, not really survey, but like feedback. So we can see your attendance and then you can get the certificates. And also join the Padlet that Caroline shared with you, because she posted so many resources for you. You can find them. And so if you have any questions, you may reach us out. So here, phone number, email address, Instagram or Facebook, wherever you prefer. So that's it. Thank you one again for this session, and special for discussions. I visited some rooms and there were like, you know, talkative people. Okay, so thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Caroline.
And I hope to see all of you next week. Have a good evening. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so
Don't
much.
forget to
Thank you.
follow the news of American Corners.
Bye. Thank you.